uh, do you first became an army and then started doing the research, right?
Uh, I it's so hard to like look at it now. I think right before I started the account, I was like referring to myself as an army, but like I
Oh,
also wasn't really talking to anybody about BTS. So it's like I was more talking to myself and like watching things by myself and being like, oh, I love BTS. But I don't think I necessarily in my mind was like, am I an army? Am I not an army? I just was like, I love BTS and that's it. I think it was once I joined the fandom, then I was like, okay, definitely, like definitely I'm an army. Like I said, with when you start to interact with people, like you start to feel that community and you start to identify a little bit strongly. But I'm pretty sure that before I had this Twitter, if people asked me if I was an army, I probably said yes anyway. But I don't think I really like fully understood to the extent of like what that meant to be an army was until I started the Twitter and started like really observing everything and being more involved, because there's really so much more to it than just loving their music, right? There's like
yeah.
it's so complex in this fandom, but yeah, and I would imagine that everyone's fan experience, the more they interact with the fandom as a whole, like that definitely gets stronger for a lot of people. So that was kind of my process.
Yeah, I think I find it really interesting. Like before, like growing up, I was more into rock and roll. Like I love Linkin Park, which I know is
Yeah,
not exactly rock and roll, but I love Linkin Park.
there's a lot of armies who love Linkin Park.
I think there's a lot of correlation between they combined um, rap with they chose rock, but because does it with pop.
Mm-hmm.
Though I think there's a lot to say that in the end is kind of poppy. But they also like they have messages. I think overall the concept is not that
Yeah.
far off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and I listen to Metallica and Pink Floyd and The Who and Queen. Like that's the kind of music I Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's the music I listen to, and I always liked pop, but it was like it's fun to dance to, but it's not really music with a substance. So I would listen to MTV a lot in the early 2000s. I
Yeah.
watched every VMA.
Yeah.
That was like right in my peak high school
Yeah.
years.
Here.
We used to go in high school. We go clubbing like from on Friday nights, like from um, midnight to 6 a.m. That's in high school, like, and it's normal. So you go dancing almost every weekend. So obviously a lot of pop, but I've never been the girl to have posters on her wall.
Uh-huh.
And this is only because of the podcast. But
Right.
like I wouldn't get merchandise. I wouldn't. That wasn't not that wasn't me. So to go from that to say I'm an army, I'm a fan of a pop group
Right.
was such a big thing for me, and my family was like kind of shuddering against it and like looking at it a bit weird. And also
Yeah.
the word for fangirls is worshiper, not just girls. Like if you love a band,
Uh-huh.
the word is like worshipped. They're literally idols that you worship
Mm-hmm.
and like you idolize. And
Yeah.
it is like worship. That's the word. And for football fans, it's fans. So
Right.
they get fans, but we worship. So
Mm-hmm.
I say fans. I refuse to say worship. I don't worship anyone. Like
Right.
so I think just that word alone, like even if you use a word a lot of time, it kind of loses its meaning. Still,
Yeah.
every time I say that word, I would like cringe
Mm-hmm.
because it's words have power, and when you use it and you define yourself as someone like that, I couldn't do it, and to bring myself to a point to say yes, I'm an army. Yes, I have zero shame about it. I've never been ashamed of the music itself, but to be part of a fandom and to have that uh, fanatic association with you, and that was for me a really hard thing to pass. And once I got to Twitter and I saw so many people around me, virtually around me like that, and found that community, it made everything so much easier, and really
Yeah.
I felt embraced by it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even me too. Like I said, I don't really know too. I've met some newer armies, obviously, in here where I'm from. But that's like through Twitter, and because here in Las Vegas they have a Las Vegas group, and it's like a bunch of awesome armies. But before that, I didn't have people around me who liked BTS, and I wasn't sure of like how I was going to be perceived as like the fact that I liked it. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really tell people about it. I just was like, oh yeah, like low key was like, yeah, I like them. But then like I would go home and like watch like everything. And so I think yeah, finding finding army and being able to interact and engage with them like makes me even more proud to be a fan. And I agree with you. It is strange because we don't use that term a lot, like the worship term, but I know that people see it as that, and it's not quite that, but yeah, I'm just like you, super glad that I've been able to find army and interact with them and feel a little bit more comfortable and confident in the fact that I do love this. So yeah.
Yeah.